Welcome to another St. Pete by Night production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network. St. Petersburg by Night is an online World of Darkness role-playing community originated in St. Petersburg, Florida, but now spread to the world at large. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media, and I will be your storyteller tonight. And it is Sunday night, and you know what that means. It's time for Red Tide Rising, our new Vampire the Masquerade chronicle set in the Tampaverse in the city of Tampa, Florida, where a young fledgling coterie of kindred attempt to carve out a bit of land for themselves and for the Anarch movement, while also pursuing their personal goals and dealing with all of the consequences that come with their actions. Before we get into introducing our players and getting our story rolling, I want to remind everyone to go follow us on all of that social media you see listed at the bottom of your screen. And you should go sign up to become a Ko-fi member, where you can get access to all of the cool behind-the-scenes goodies that we are offering you for as low as $5 a month. This includes all of the Rosebud Thorns for all of our streamed sessions, all about that face, which is a very special kind of snapshot of what happens off screen with some of the players, especially in our Hellhounds Chronicle, and just much, much more. So it's really, really worth the bargain, and it super helps support this community and programs just like this one. So go sign up for that Ko-fi and become a MVP in our eyes. Now, let's get to introducing our amazing players that make this story possible. Players, go ahead and introduce yourselves if you please.
Good evening, my name is Garrett, and tonight I will be playing August the Thin Blood.
Howdy, howdy. My name is Ace. I am 6 days younger than the first ever episode of SpongeBob, and I will be playing Beau Walker, a Toreador.
Dang it. Hello, hello. I am Scott. I'll be playing Jeremiah the Malkavian, who's kind of feeling himself tonight.
Hi, I'm Freya, and I play Valentina, the ghoul. Woo.
I could feel myself rapidly aging before all of your eyes after Ace's introduction. But anyway, let's get everybody caught up as to where we are right now. Last week, the Coterie met with their benefactor, Solomon Creed, after a successful delivery to the mysterious Vesper. They were also given their next assignment, which was to gather 2 vessels apiece to help build up a bit of a stock for the blood trade that Solomon is well invested in. Afterwards, Jeremiah hung back to talk to Solomon about his future plans and ways to further the goals of the movement, where he was told about some other prospective barons in the area, including Sebastian de Leon, the Toreador Baron of Tarpon Springs, and a few other key figures that he's hoping to make contact with in the future to further those goals. We then saw Valentina and August go to visit that pre-mentioned Vesper, and needless to say, the conversation got intense as August attempted to bargain for some of Vesper's blood, but in turn was told that he would owe him his soul if he wished to learn anything from the elder Tzimisce. Meanwhile, Valentina bore witness to all of this and has some aspirations of her own that maybe Vesper can assist with in helping deal with that pesky Domitor that seems to be hovering on the fringes of Valentina's existence. And then finally, with a little bit of extra spice to throw into that episode, and if you haven't watched it, trust me, you're going to want to, Beau went to visit and perform for their sire, Talia, and things got spicy and steamy, to say the least, and the bond between Beau and their sire furthered as Talia was able to use her feminine and Toreador wiles to lure in her childer and re-secure the connection between them. How is this all going to affect things going forward? Deals with Tzimisce, bonding to Toreador. These anarchs are in for a bumpy ride, so let's get our story started. Our first scene begins in a trailer park about an hour outside of Tampa. August, you were given a business card for an individual known as Spud, and Vesper had told you that they could help further your knowledge and make you a little bit more impressive in the eyes, or at least useful in the eyes of the elder Tzimisce. So, after having made contact with Spud, you were given the address of a trailer park quite some distance away from the city proper. How would you get to this trailer park?
So he would have considered his options, but for now, kept this to himself as much as he could, knowing that Valentina would know at least what they heard or overheard. So they would have brought Cole with them as their driver, and gone in a simple, undescript vehicle.
Okay. So after the long drive, you pull into a pretty packed full trailer park. It is the time of year where the snowbirds have descended upon Florida, and therefore many of the camping parks and RV parks are just loaded up with temporary residents to the state. Following the instructions you were given, you drive back to the farthest back corner of this particular RV park, where you see an RV that seems to be standing apart from the others, having a little bit of a halo of space around it. The RV is fairly nondescript, looks to be an older version, but it blends in well with its surroundings. The thing that stands out the most are the chili pepper lights that hang around the awning of the RV and were the marker that you were told to be on the lookout for. So as your driver pulls their vehicle off to the side, they look to you questioningly. You want me to hang back here? Should I keep the engine running? This seems pretty sketchy.
I wager that's the point. No, don't keep the engine running, but stay here.
Got it, boss. They kill the engine, and as you climb out of the car, you pass over some not so manicured grass. It seems to be a little bit overgrown and not super well tended. There's a large wooden camping table off to one side. There's also a fire pit, a raised fire pit near the front of the trailer, but there's no fire burning in it currently. As you approach the door, what are your thoughts going into this encounter? And then what do you do?
The thoughts are very curious. He's not met many of his kind before, especially not ones that assumably are openly his kind. The card is very interesting on how it became under the possession of Vesper in a way that seemed almost playful. And he questions whether Vesper had this card handed to him by this individual or came about it a different way, but did not ask. So he approaches cautiously, but with his normal attitude. There's a bit of confidence. He's here to do something, and he intends to do it. So as he approaches, I'll note that he's not dressed like he usually is for this encounter. His hair is sort of swept back. He has a beanie on, sort of a leather jacket of sorts. It's a bit roughed up. It's not exactly pristine. Simple t-shirt, and sort of just longer cargo pants, running shoes. It's an outfit that is not usually seen on him, but he's playing a part. So as he sort of rubs down the jacket, trying to straighten it out a bit, looking a bit almost uncomfortable maybe, he'll walk up looking at the windows to see if there's a light on the inside, anything like that, sort of casing the joint while not circling it.
So a lot of the windows look like they're covered in aluminum foil or some kind of reflective foil, or there's black grease paint completely covering up the windows themselves, but you can see the traces of light around the edges. However, I'd like you to roll me a wits and awareness check as well. Also make me a rouse check to wake up today.
Do that first, unfortunately. That is success. So I stay at the same hunger.
And being a Duskborn, you do not need to blush to have the blush of life, so you fit right in to the surroundings. Well, maybe not so much dressed in a suit the way you are. Okay.
Not tonight, so.
Well, what's your wits and awareness score?
That is a critical success for 4 total.
So as you approach the RV, you can hear the little padding footfalls of something on the top of the RV, that metallic sound of tiny little feet hitting the metal roof. And as your eyes are drawn up, you see a darkened silhouette, maybe the size of a large cat, punched upon the roof, but you can't make out the exact details of this creature as it kind of lurks over the top of the doorway to go into the trailer. But as you walk up and knock upon the door momentarily later swings open, and inside you see a very lithe, almost overly thin young man with a overgrown purple mohawk to the point that it doesn't even stand straight up anymore. It kind of just droops over to one side like a side part. The sides are shaved all the way around, aside from the growth of purple mohawk atop his head. He's wearing a tank top that seems to advertise Burning Man 2006 on the front of it, and some very, very rough cut off jean shorts. He has round red tinted spectacles on his eyes, and he swings the door open with a great deal of bravado. It says, "Evening."
Good evening.
August?
Yes.
Come on in. And he turns back into the RV, leaving the door hanging open for you.
He sort of looks up at the creature and squints at it to see if it has any reaction to him.
It seems to be completely still as it lurks upon the roof, not moving.
He'll just tilt his head at it and then walk inside.
As you enter in, the outside does not give a good indication of what's inside, because inside you see a fully stocked laboratory. Now, most of it looks like it's concocted of handmade materials like coffee cans, but there are also a huge supply of actual laboratory tech, including Bunsen burners, beakers, a entire cooler of materials off to one side, a small refrigerator beneath that. You could see many blood bags are hung up within the open-faced cooler, the kind of glass door cooler right next to the table. There's also a bunch of pill bottles and loosely strewn pills off to the side that look like they were handmade or concocted within this very trailer, which is hard to believe, but looking at the setup he has here, it doesn't seem that off. Taped up to the wall or pegged into a pegboard look to be a bunch of scientific recipes. If you want to roll me an intelligence and science, you can try and determine if you can gain any information from it.
Now, does my specialty of
Chemistry? Yeah, that would work.
That is 3 successes.
Looking over the various components that are involved in the recipes, it looks like these are the makings of high-end pharmaceuticals, like effectively homemade insulin, as well as painkillers and a bunch of other things that definitely would not be street legal, but could potentially be very beneficial to those without insurance or the inability to afford such high-end prescriptions. As he walks in, he moves over to a stool that seems to be on casters and rolls along the floor of the RV, but then gestures over to a old musty couch for you to sit down. The couch has a few stains on it, definitely some patches to cover up holes within the couch. It is not a pleasant piece of furniture, but it definitely looks like it suits whatever purpose it has. And as he gestures over to it, he pops on the stool and rolls closer to the couch. So what can I do for you?
August will try his best to make it obvious that he's looking at the sort of notes on the wall there, and try and make it obvious that he understands what they are. And he'll sort of pull himself away from it and looking more comfortable maybe than he should, like he's maybe used to an environment as such. He'll sort of just plop down on the couch without any hesitation, and be like, well, I don't really know. Listen, I have not really met another of us before.
Okay. Well, hi, I'm Spud. I've been
August?
around for about 20 something years now. Well, at least on this side of I've been dead for 20 something years now, I suppose. Kind of like a cockroach. They can't seem to get rid of me as much as they try. Anyway, I guess my first question would be, how'd you get my number?
Right, that. He'll reach in a inner pocket of his jacket and pull out the card. I found this.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not in that trade anymore. I used to do the, drug dealing bit. Well, I guess I'm still in the trade. It's just more beneficial to people and less addictive. Well, okay, some of them are addictive. Listen, if you're here for pharmaceuticals, I got you. But you'd have to let me know specifically what you need, and I might need some time. I'm still kind of transitioning away from the illicit substances and more towards the pharmaceutical game. So what are you looking for?
Yeah, that's not exactly why I'm here. But good to know, I guess. More so, listen, I do a lot of research. I've, at the very least, understand that we are rare, but I know there's some things we can do that the others can't, if you catch my drift, and just looking for some guidance, maybe? Not for free, of course.
Good. I'm glad you've at least learned that much. Nothing comes free in this unlife.
Yeah. It's been a bit about, less than a decade for me, so.
Less than a decade?
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you fill me in on how you came to be, what you can do? That's a good kind of baseline for expanding your knowledge base. I'm guessing you have not messed with any kind of alchemy so far. At least not this kind.
At least not this kind is more accurate. There's some things. Listen, is it safe here? And he'll look around. Are you sure?
I wouldn't have said anything if it wasn't, and I definitely wouldn't have had you meet here if it wasn't.
Good. Yeah, as far as I understand, I wasn't supposed to be this. This was sort of an accident.
Is that what they told you?
They didn't tell me much, but they definitely didn't tell me that. That was more of an inference from the experiences I've had. An experiment of sorts is what I would call myself. Listen, there's no real good way to say it. I was a professor and antiquador sort of type. Still am, in a way. And a certain people found that interesting. I'm sure you know and have heard of Tremere.
Oh boy, someone's in trouble. And not just you. Yeah. I have heard of Tremere. And that's very interesting.
That's the least interesting part, actually. I figured I'd be dead now if this wasn't the case, but So there's some things that you and I can do, I'm assuming, that others can't. But there's a few more things that I can do that others can't as well.
Such as?
Well, I have a sort of knack for, what do they call it? Blood sorcery?
Really? That's
Yes.
some safeguarded intel. The family doesn't
could say
often
that.
like to let that kind of knowledge out and about. Okay. So is it just the natural talent, or do you have any of the learned knowledge as well?
Bit of column A, bit of column B.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start off by asking, do you have any questions about what it is to be this, what it is to be Diet Vamp?
You know, that's the first time I've heard it put it like that, but not exactly.
Call a spade, my friend.
Right.
We aren't fully cooked. We weren't given enough time to marinate. We came from weak stock. I mean, take your pick. We got the short end of the stick. It's just a matter of what you do with that short end. Are you taking it up the rear, or are you using it to potentially make your way in the world?
Don't exactly see all of it the way you've just said, except the end, of course.
You better get used to seeing it that way, because they're going to remind you constantly if you come across any of the older ones.
I have, let's say I have.
Then you met the wrong ones. But that's probably for the best.
Yeah, that remains to be seen as well. You know more about it than you're letting on in terms of out of context. But yeah, what is it? I guess I've never even considered the possibility of it being anything else more than it is. But
okay, I'm gonna tell you what they think we are, and then what we actually are. That makes sense. So what they think we are is a sign of an upcoming apocalypse, something that they call Gehenna, the end of days, the destruction of vampire kind, the ultimate judgment, whatever you want to call it.
heard that one, yeah.
Yep. What actually happened is their vitae, their blood, their source of power over the ages has diluted. You know, whether it's through over creating, it just got weaker and weaker as time progressed, to the point that the youngest ones barely make kindred anymore. They make us. They make the thinnest of bloods, the duskborn, the half dead, there's pick a name, but we don't have all of the benefits and strengths of what it is to be kindred. We have a disadvantage, a raw deal, but we have some of the things they don't have. The ability to retain a lot of what used to make us human. Helps us blend in, it helps us get around, and it helps us survive. Also, a few very ambitious of our brethren decided to start experimenting. If we couldn't do the things they can do, what could we do? And what we could do is science. Now, the fact that you don't already have this knowledge isn't necessarily a bad thing. It means that it's not out there on the streets, just where anybody can find it. But also, it definitely puts you at a disadvantage, because it helps us level the playing field. It helps us survive. Now, I assume you know when you feed, certain special things happen, temporary access, if you will. What alchemy does is it allows us to harness or mimic some of those effects on a more on-demand basis. Now, there are many ways you can do it. I prefer the chemistry set way, but some people prefer to use themselves as a melting pot, and others prefer to use vessels as a melting pot. You're going to have to determine for yourself what your preferred method of study is, but I've found a chemistry set is a lot easier to deal with if things go awry versus a vessel or your own body. I always just thought the idea of your own body was horrifying and disgusting, to be completely honest. But I mean, might as well use the hardware for something. Am I right? What are you looking to accomplish? Is there a desired effect you're hoping to get, or are you just looking for more knowledge to expand your knowledge base? Because blood sorcery, it is very valuable but very rare knowledge in its own right.
I'll tell you something that I haven't told, I don't think, anyone before. The combination of those things is very appealing to me.
Okay.
So is there a specific effect? Well, you name it, but I've come to understand, even before all of this happened to me, what is it now, 7-ish years ago, that
You've been surviving for 7 years without alchemy?
I've had other benefits to assist me. Some of them I've told you, some of them I haven't. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a lot of things that we can do. We can mimic the abilities they have, especially if we can get access to their blood. That can help us stir up some concoctions that allow us to unlock their abilities or something like it. Also, we can kind of make up our own, in a manner of speaking. Some alchemists have created recipes that can do everything from, create a fog that allows us to escape to, well, you name it. If you can get creative enough and you can mess with the right components, you can make pretty much anything happen. In fact, I have a particular recipe that allows me to be extra valuable to some of the older ones who are feeling a certain pull away from here.
Really?
Alchemy is a powerful tool, my friend, and if used appropriately, you can do a great deal with it. Problem is sourcing the blood. It's not only do we need human blood of particular resonances and the like, that's all well and good, but sometimes we need kindred blood, and not diet kindred, actual kindred. And that's a little bit stickier to get a hold of, but if you have something they want, you'll be surprised what they're willing to part with to get it.
Don't I know it? He'll lean forward and steeple his fingers and listen, I think I can be help to you as well. Of course, I'm assuming, like I always do.
Well, what do you assume you can help me with?
I'm looking for a head start, something to begin. And you've got some interesting things in the walls over there. Interesting things that require components and maybe even a helping hand. Make things go a little faster. Research is something I specialize in, especially in these recent nights, and I think second pair of eyes that you can trust not to go running around and telling everybody could be useful, no?
Could be. I may have a few pokers and a few different fires, but what's one more? As for help, he actually reaches over by the counter and grabs a broom and then just raises the broom to the roof and taps the edge of the broom against the metal roof a few times. You then hear the scurrying of little feet across the roof, and then one of the side windows opens, and the most rotund raccoon you've ever seen comes squeezing their way in through the window. But what's even more surprising is the little pistol they seem to be dragging with them in through the window, and they let clatter onto the counter before they squeeze themselves the rest of the way in and go tumbling onto the counter. They're my security and my lab assistant when I need them. And you can see he reaches into his pocket and you can hear the crinkling of a little bag as he pulls out some Cheetos and opens the bag and just drops them onto the floor. The raccoon drops off of the counter and goes scurrying over to the bag before diving headfirst into the bag, and you can hear crunching and munching noises. This is Pippin.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
I could use help gathering components, and I could occasionally use help in the laboratory to help you learn a thing or two. Have you tried experimenting with this kind of stuff before?
Yes. Constantly, to no avail as of yet.
It's a tricky business, but I definitely encourage you to keep it up. You'd be surprised at what strange combinations you can concoct. Do you have any laboratory supplies?
Yes. Though, haven't had enough, I guess you could say, time to build something as extensive as what you got here, but...
Well, I can
some
make
stuff.
you a list of the basics that you need to get started, and if you have them, you can scratch them off, and the others I'm sure you can source in some fashion or another. But let's talk about trade. Let's talk about what my price would be for this kind of knowledge. You mentioned a knowledge of blood sorcery. How much knowledge do you have, and how much access to further knowledge can you get?
Well, in the interest of a continued relationship, it was about almost a year I spent with the Tremere, being a testing monkey of sorts, a lab rat, and, well, let's say things didn't end too well with that relationship, but it wasn't completely severed.
So you got an in the Chantry. Okay.
Yes.
Then we'll make a deal. An exchange of sorts. I think 1 for 1, ritual for formula. I can teach you something I actually know and haven't been just messing around with in exchange for something that you know and you've learned. I'll let you know what all the ingredients are. I'll let you know how to make it and what it'll do and how to properly imbibe it and what effects to expect when you do. And I want one of their rituals in exchange.
Well, as we've, beat around the bush about discussing, and of course, this is your prerogative, but I don't understand how... I don't know if it'll take the same with you as it has with me.
Well, my friend, if you can get your hands on the right resonance, you can make a lot of things take. And it's not necessarily about my ability to do it. It's about the knowledge of it and the power that that holds. It's a really good bargaining chip, and definitely appealing to those unlucky sorts that found themselves on the wrong end of the Chantry, possibly kicked out, possibly of a different mind. That brings the next question, I suppose, for you, are you tower or are you hypocritically free?
Like how you put that.
Well, if you can't see the hypocrisy in the movement, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we don't want to answer to anybody, but yes, Baron, please give me a cookie.
Spud, I think we'll get along just fine. I currently have embedded myself. They are friends as much as you can be in this life. In a coterie, we have a haven under the new Baron of Solomon Creed. I'm sure you've heard.
Heard some rumblings here and there about some upstarts looking to make a name for themselves.
Well, it's a bit more than rumblings at this point. Just a bit more, not too much more. But so anarchs openly, but realistically, I think you and me align a bit more on that matter. So I'm still figuring out.
I'm going to tell you something, and it's a hard pill to swallow. Anarchs, Camarilla, they're two sides of the same coin, and we don't fit in their mold. They will never view us as equals. They will never view us as something to respect or care for or try to understand. We will always be an anomaly to them, and possibly something to be slightly nervous about or afraid of, because we are evolution. We've evolved beyond the banes that they all carry, the things that make them sleep during the day and stalk at night, the unending hunger, all of that. We are evolving beyond it. And that makes us dangerous because we know about them. We, to some degree, understand them, but we are not them. And any kindred who tries to make you feel like an equal wants something from you. I mean, they want something from each other too, but the only reason they tolerate your presence being lesser than is because they want something. They think they can get something out of you. You're either going to be a meat shield or a puppet or someone to throw into a lab, chained to a desk, and brew all sorts of concoctions for them, especially the ones that the elders are looking for. That one's particularly valuable to some of the much, much, much older ones. Don't ever mistake their respect for friendship or their friendship for respect. You get me?
I get you.
Good. All right. Do you want to stay a vampire?
So long as it's useful, I get what I need.
Are you trying to become one of the full ones? Full flavored?
No.
Good, we have that in common. See, I didn't want to be this. I didn't have a choice in being this. I wasn't offered the dark gift. I was shoved into a closet in a club thinking I was going to get lucky, and I ended up with a different diet regimen and a sire nowhere in sight.
I think I would have preferred that.
What do you think? I think you got access to far more, and they clearly wanted to keep you around, even if it was to experiment on you. But if your goal is to stay in this form, then you're going to need to be better about what you share, to whom, and who you decide to get into bed with. Now, I'll give you a free pass and tell you that I'll keep your secret safe. But I also could have just as much gone running to the Chantry telling them they had a loose one to get a benefit from them. And there are other thin bloods and kindred who would very much take up that opportunity. Now, me, I don't like the Tremere. I don't like the Tower. I don't like most of the full-flavored kindred in the world. So we're good. And I will give you the true respect as a fellow thin blood, not to throw you under the bus, because I do believe we are evolution, and I do believe we need to be prepared for the upcoming conflict we're eventually going to have with them when they realize just how dangerous and valuable we are. Don't tell anyone else you came from Tremere stock if they find out you're a thin blood. If you can fake it, great, but they'll eventually know. Some of them have the ability to smell it or see it on you that you're not quite fully cooked. So telling them where you came from, don't do that. Don't tell them where you came from. In fact, I wouldn't even tell them you're from here. Maybe that you're passing through, a drifter. Best case scenario is not to be found out or seen at all. But, you know, that's not as easy as it sounds.
No, it's not.
I like that you're upfront about it, though. See, I've been trying to find a way out for some time. Haven't been super successful. What good's life if it doesn't end? Things get boring. I've seen some of them. They are so bored after a few hundred years that they just don't have any passion for anything anymore. And I'm a passionate person. I don't want to lose that because something happened to me, because something was taken from me. So, you help me with my research to find a way out of this. You get me those rituals, which I'm hoping some of the information in there might bear the key I'm looking for, which is why I want it. Full transparency and all. And yeah, I'll teach you what you need to know.
Well, hope to be worthy of that inheritance.
Well, we're going to start small, because if you go and get yourself killed with this knowledge or abducted or captured, I can just move on. But eventually we'll work our way up to the more valuable, high-stakes stuff. Bit of warning, though. You ever see or come by and you see others visiting others that aren't quite on par with what we do? Maybe hold off making an entrance until they're gone. I have some other assurances in play right now. Protection against the crumbling tower.
I'll pay you the respect of not asking for clarification. At least not now.
I wouldn't give it to you anyway. Cool. Okay. He slaps his hands together and starts rubbing them. Let's start with something very simple. Every concoction requires some kind of blood. It's what allows us to imbibe it. It's what allows us to collect it. But resonance is very important. That feeling you get when you feed from a particular vessel, whether it's that spicy flavor of anger or that mellow smoothness of depression, all of those are vital vital, vital components for what we do. This first recipe I'm going to teach you is something that's called envelop. It's also called mist. It's called the bailout method. It's called the ready bag. But what it'll do is once you drink it, it's going to create a cloud around you that makes you harder to hit with a bullet or a crossbow or whatever the hell people are using at any given time. Makes you harder to see. This is kind of a runaway formula of sorts. But what you need to know is that you need some of your own blood, some of that more depressed blood from a human, as well as some more of the philosophical type of blood. So you need two different types, two different resonances. And then a little bit of cobalt. Stir it together, you mix it. If you're going to use the cooking method, let it cook for maybe 3 or 4 hours. And then when you're ready, you drink it. And depending on how well you've mixed it, it will last for anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, depending. And when you want to, you can shut it off. Now, I prefer to have a vape pen when I do it, because you need to also ingest some kind of fog or smoke of your own. Car exhaust also works really, really well for that, or cigarettes if that's your predilection. But you will drink the formula, start puffing on the vape, and then the mist will start to form. Get me?
Well, I think I do, but it's crazy what I've been researching and what it actually ends up being. I think I was going a little too overboard with it.
Oh, wait until you're smuggling UV tubes from a Waffle House. That's later, though.
Seems like a very dangerous prospect.
You know, Waffle House, nobody blinks twice if a fight erupts and then all of a sudden, things get broken or are missing. Waffle House is actually a Thin Blood's best friend. Always open, well lit, and trafficked by people that Kindred don't want to be around.
You know what? Never thought of it that way. But you're right.
I've done a little bit of a coffee cup alchemy in my day at a Waffle House or two. Anyway, I'll write down those instructions for you. Take it home and start experimenting and practicing. I'll give you the exact measurements, but you can try a little bit more, a little bit less, because maybe you'll find something of your very own, make a way to improve it or work upon it. But I think that's as good a starting point as any. When you want your next formula, bring me a ritual. First one's on the house. And he gives you a wink.
He'll squint back at him. Really?
Anyone who's bold enough to walk into this trailer asking for knowledge, but doing so with humility and humble, I take a shine to that. Because I remember being there. I remember what it was like to have to figure this all out for myself, to look for a teacher, to start making my own formulas, to try and accrue all of this. Consider it a soft spot, but it's not going to last. So if you keep trying to dig for more, you're not going to come up with much. Plus, this is a pretty easy formula, to be honest.
Well, it's good. That is good, yes. Thank you.
He rolls
I think
back
I've
over to the counter and grabs a notepad and starts writing as he looks back to you.
I don't think I've said that to one of us and meant it.
Sometimes it's not about power or domination. It's about survival and trying to figure out what all this really means. I was never a religious person, but some of the crazy stories I've heard about kindred and how they came to be makes you ask a lot of questions. Is it an evolution thing? Is it a curse? Is it a decree passed down by some deity? Whatever it is, I can respect a fellow survival and intellectual, and not in the haughty Tremere way.
Don't I know it?
He then rips off a piece of paper and holds it out to you. That should have everything you need to make the envelope formula. Practice it a few times. The first few aren't going to work easily, but you're going to have to do some testing on yourself by drinking it. You can cook it just right, or at least what you think is just right, but until you drink it, you won't really know if it works. Other point. Kindred can't drink those. Well, they can, but it might not go so well for them.
Might not go so well for them as in...
Well, sometimes they'll vomit uproariously because they can't stomach what's in the blood. Sometimes it'll have a negative side effect, even if it still does work somehow, which sometimes they do. Usually it comes with a little bit of extra. See, that's what sets us apart. What we make, we can use, and there's only a few that they can take and actually stomach. And yes, sometimes it can be very harmful. Gotten me out of a jam or two.
Good to know. What's the story with this one? And he'll point towards the floor.
Pippin?
Yeah.
Well, I have friends too. Friends of the more full flavor persuasion. This just happens to be the companion and pet of one of those friends. But you see, they're not extremely sociable. They prefer to stick to the woods, and they loan me Pippin as a buddy from time to time. He's very useful. Opposable thumbs come in handy. Anyway,
yeah.
Start working with that. Once you got a formula that works, bring it back to me, and a ritual, and we'll start discussing the next formula. Cool? All right. Anything else? Maybe not. So, at this point, Spud will wheel over to one of the cabinets, open it, pull out a flattened cardboard box, put it together and tape it. He'll put in an old pot, like for a stove, that looks like it's burned and blackened around the bottom. He'll throw that into the box. He'll grab a couple of vial casings with stoppers, throw that into the box. He'll grab a little stovetop for like a dorm room, like one of those hot plate stovetops. He'll throw that into the box, as well as a couple of glass stirrers. Throw that in, and then he'll wheel over and hold out the box to you. Starter kit.
Right. He's momentarily distracted by his phone, and as as in the background of this noise of just pots being thrown into a box with other materials, he'll put his phone down. Of course. Thank you. He'll look down.
I won't be in this location next time you look for me, so I'm always kind of on the move, and that's something you should probably become well acquainted with, because if they find out where your lab is, well, they're going to try and take it.
So should I, and he'll hold the card. Should I be holding on to this?
Yeah,
Sure.
got my number. I mean, you could put it in your phone and tear it up. That works too.
My phone tends to get tore up more often, if you know what I mean, so.
Yeah, then keep the card.
He'll take that and the card and sort of shove it into a jacket pocket, returning it from whence it came. And thanks again. I'm so sorry. Does he know how to use that gun? He's just carrying it around like it's a little stuffed animal or something.
Come with ill intent and find out.
I might just to try and figure it out. I mean,
He's
opposable
practicing.
thumbs. Oh.
But I think
won't
it's more
ask.
intimidating to have him waving it around when it's almost half his body weight.
Yeah. If you never need any help on that end of things, I could procure some things.
I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say. Onesis plus onesis equals deuces. And he rolls over to the door and swings it open.
August blinks several times in rapid succession and wordlessly walks out to the door and nods his head.
After a few moments, the door swings shut. You hear that same sliding glass window open, and you hear the raccoon scramble out onto the roof again. You can hear the dragging of metal across the roof as he pulls the revolver behind him. But
August
as you
instinctually ducks as like, Jesus Christ.
As you return to the car, climbing into the back, your driver looks over the seat at you. Everything good?
Yeah, pop the trunk.
Okay. He does so.
Go over and put the box in the trunk and put his hand on it, but before he shuts it, he just takes a moment and sort of just runs through what just happened in his mind, and he'll pull the beanie off and throw it in the trunk as well, and sort of he looks very pleased with himself and the interaction he's just had.
As you're
And then Yeah, and then he'll just slam the trunk and get in.
As you're replaying the thought in your mind of what this means, the possibilities this unlocks for you, you find yourself pleased at the idea of power within your reach. But you know you wouldn't have found out where this power was from without Vesper. And now you have an arrangement with Vesper. And it's as you're dwelling on the Zemitzi that you're startled out of your stupor by the sound of a gun going off. At that moment, you look towards the trailer and you can see the raccoon is on top of it, waving the revolver around, trying to balance it. You get into the car?
Yep. Pull out before we got a bullet hole. Go.
And you drive away. And with that, we move on to our next scene. Our next scene, we find ourselves at the Waiting Owl, the gathering place for the Coterie, the place of business for Valentina and for Beau. depending on what night of the week it is. And it just happens to be one of those performing nights. It's after closing time. Everything's been locked up, and even the bartender has gone home for the night. Although, you know, security is always watching this place. You've made sure of that. So as the two of you sit in the bar room, Beau, it's been a very successful few weeks of performing. You've seen the crowds grow larger and larger, and you've seen your name get heard on more lips and spread about. People remembering, returning fans coming to see you perform. But tonight is about a different kind of need, a different kind of, well, awaiting infatuation, because it's feeding day. Being a ghoul comes with a lot of benefits over being a regular human. But the biggest drawback is the fatal addiction of being a ghoul, the need for vitae. For the longest time, Valentina, you had a source for that in your domator. But that also came with its drawbacks. What was thought of to be love ended up being control, ruthlessness. Athame was the most lovely and the most terrifying individual you had ever met. So when you were able to break free of that bond, you got to see her for what she really was. Got to actually consider the monster she had always been, the wolf in sheep's clothing. But the need doesn't stop with the break of the bond. Because the longer you go without feasting upon vitae, the more your body starts to break down, the more the cravings hit. So you found a schedule that works for you about once a month. A good feeding should hold you over, and you've made a plan to change up whoever it is you're feeding from each month so that there's no risk of a serious bond happening. And it just happens this month, it's Beau. So as the two of you gather within the empty establishment, the reverberations of your last song still ringing off of ceiling and walls and floor, even though no one else can hear it. Beau, you're taken back to just a few days prior. A sitting room, a night of ecstasy. This just isn't it. The music doesn't hit the same here as it did in that private performance. With that, the scene is yours.
Beau will make their way over to Valentina, nod their head. It's about that time, ain't it?
Other days.
How you want to do it this time? I can make an incision, if you've got a spot that you prefer.
Yeah, that's easy enough. You know, and Val just passes over a knife, you know, takes it from behind the bar, stuff that's used normally for like prepping garnishes and the like, always kept sharp.
Beau will take the knife, make a small slice in their left palm, and offer it out to Valentina.
As Val kind of grabs a hold of your hand, she looks at it,
Now, the thing about kindred is that blood doesn't move through their system freely. It sits still and unaltering most of the time, as it would in a corpse. Beau, I need 3 rouse checks from you. 1 to wake up, 1 to blush yourself for this evening's performances, and then 1 to will your blood into the wound to allow Valentina to drink.
Failed, and succeeded.
Okay, so your hunger is going to go up by 2. What hunger did you start this evening with?
I believe it was at 1 after feeding off Talia.
Okay, so yes, you are at 3 now. So as you will the blood to the surface, it starts to pool in your hand. Valentina, it is intoxicating just to smell it. It comes with this very fresh bouquet of flowers and perfume and musk and a hint of melancholy and longing. But with that, you are able to drink. And as you drink, you feel that aching, that pit that was slowly forming in your stomach, that itch upon your skin subsist. You probably could have lasted another couple of months without drinking, but the upkeep is necessary if you wish not to start suffering the effects of a withdrawal. And with that drink, you're good for the month.
Thank you. Wow.
Oh, as you raise your palm, licking the wound, it slowly seals up. Roll me a composure and resolve, Beau. Because what you taste upon your palm isn't your blood, but Talia's. Okay, 3 successes. An initial urge, a surge hits you, wanting to see her, wanting to be with her, wanting to taste her once again. But just like the beast, shove it down. Lock it away. Now is not the time. Now is not the place. You may continue.
Thank you, Beau. I always appreciate it.
Well, glad I could help. As they are suppressing that desire, they absent-mindedly fiddle with the ring that they wore when meeting Talia, that they've worn every day since.
Valentina, looking at Beau, she's become even more impressive in this moment. Now, this is an effect you know to come from drinking the vitae of a vampire, the first step towards a bond, and it's something that you have avoided solidifying by not drinking from the same person each time. But right now, they are gorgeous as if there's a halo of light around them that just makes them seem almost angelic in stature. You're pretty sure that if they asked you to do something in this moment, you would do it unquestioningly. But that fades after a couple of days.
Beau, isn't that ring the one that you wore around your neck?
That it is.
What's it doing there?
I saw her a few nights ago, and I fed from her again. You know how
Oh.
those bonds are.
Oh. Yes, of course I know how those bonds are. What are you doing?
I didn't think it would happen. I messaged her for information when we were going to meet Vesper, and the price was a private performance. And, well, it wasn't just a performance that ended up happening.
Well, good on you, I guess, but at the same point, like, come on. I know that, well, maybe I don't know. But you've pressed upon not wanting to be anywhere near her.
I don't, but there's a price for everything, and that was her price. And I thought,
Why do you even still have her number? Come on. We've had a conversation about this. I know we have.
I know, and I do want to get free. It's complicated. How
Listen.
did you get free?
Oh, God. Luck. A bit of dumb luck. And meeting the right person at the weirdest time. It was August. I know I haven't told you a lot of the stuff involving my Dominator, besides the fact that I want to see her head on a pike. But, I was starting to pull away before I met August. And she knew it. She doesn't like losing things that belong to her. Anyway, she called some favors in with people, and they wanted to try to put together a ritual to strengthen our bond. And for one reason or another, August was there. And he didn't want to be there. And we helped each other get out of that area, that awful, terrible thing. He was able to sabotage whatever they were trying to do to me. And that, honestly, is probably my only saving grace. The only reason why I'm here. And that's just because he made a ritual go awry.
as I'm aware, there aren't any rituals planned. And
Of
it
course
seems
not.
like my only options right now are to try and stay away as best I can, and that's clearly not working, because I just went back. Or to meet her again and well, let's just say it wouldn't be a pretty sight.
Beau, roll me an intelligence and occult. There is a third option. Transfer the bond. Find someone else who can bond you, but that might be too dangerous to even mention. Would you just be trading one master for another, one obsession for another? Say what you will about Talia and everything she's done, but she makes you feel. She makes you feel in a way no one else can. She isn't cruel. Maybe she has her dalliances. Maybe she betrayed you, but she made it up to you. Sort of.
I guess I could try to find someone else, but that comes with its own complications.
Yeah, that's definitely not a good idea. In all honesty, trading one manipulator for another is never a good idea. And if there's one thing I know about you all as kindred, is whether or not you mean to be, you're all manipulators.
Says the ghoul who lives or dies by your generosity. Kind of a little hypocritical, to be honest.
And I know that I am not in a place to cast judgment upon you, especially after. But if you feel the urge to go again, give me a call. Even if it's just to have somebody waste the time so that you don't have enough time to go. Please?
And what if she uses the bond to force me to go?
Well, hopefully I'm close enough by. Listen, I can incapacitate somebody. I'll try to do it softly.
You wouldn't have to be soft. I'm not worried about her getting hurt.
Oh,
Well,
I'm talking
maybe.
about you. forcing you
Oh.
not to go there. It would
That
be a lot
makes-
easier to take care of you rather than the kindred. I have no clue what their abilities are.
You know, that makes a lot more sense now that you say it. I'm also not too worried about getting hurt. Keyword too worried, at least as things are right now.
I would feel bad if I hurt you too badly.
Now, out of everyone in this group, I think you're the only person that I wouldn't feel bad getting hurt by.
That's oddly comforting. Anyway, there's still a little bit of time. Do you want to watch something? Hang out for a little while? I know the performances have been getting more and more, but I think some friendship bonding would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like that. Get my mind off her for at least a little bit and keep me from her door.
As you enjoy the evening together, Valentina, you are so happy Beau took you up on this offer. You get to spend a few more hours in their magnificent presence. Their attention, their affection means the world to you right now, and the fact that they've been so vulnerable is an honor beyond honors. But as all things do, one thing that can't be avoided is the sun. At least not for a few more 100 million years. So as dawn nears, you have to leave and go back to your own domicile. You say your goodbyes. You head out of the bar. And as you hit the street, heading towards your vehicle, roll me a composure and intelligence. Two successes. Just as you get to your car and put your hand on the handle, as if carried by wind or the wings of angels, a voice starts to call to you. Beau Jean Walker, my love, my sweet, my child. Come back to me. Two successes versus 9 successes with a critical. You are summoned by your sire, and it being a critical, you must get there as quickly as possible. You have no opportunity to refuse. So you climb into the car. You turn on the engine and you gun it as quickly as possible back to Davis Islands, back to your sire, back to her loving and warm embrace, metaphorically and literally. And with that, we go to break. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the second half of tonight's story. Welcome back. As we return, we find ourselves at one of Tampa's many, many arcades. Now, they have things like Dave and Buster's and a variety of others that are large scale, but we're finding ourselves at a hole in the wall arcade. That arcade's name, conveniently enough, the Extra Life. Now, Jeremiah, you've come here for a very specific purpose, which is seemingly to tie up loose ends or to at least figure out the cost of an arrangement you made with a group of individuals who seemingly knew who you were and knew what you were facing, what threats loomed in the area in the form of werewolves. Now, they said they could make sure, at least within the area of Sulphur Springs, that you wouldn't have any werewolf problems, but you'd be in their debt. Now, this is an arrangement that you made without Solomon's knowledge, but one that could also benefit him by keeping you around. Because if you're gone, so goes the deal, and that opens the gates for Guru. And the Guru here have become extremely dangerous, to the point that the Camarilla has had to go on an all-out defense to try and avoid complete destruction by their claws. So as we find ourselves at the Extra Life with a little bit of a neon sign in an almost Mario font over the door, with images of various video game characters like Metroid and Link from Zelda on the windows. There are a variety of stand-up arcade machines in the bar. There are also pinball machines and just countless opportunities to play some really good retro video games. But also, they have private rooms for rent where you can play on a console that you would rent out for the evening. Now, they do have some consoles you can play at the bar, but if you want the more exclusive experience, you can rent out one of these rooms for a party. And it just so happens on this particular evening with this particular individual that you're meeting, they have rented one of these rooms. So as you pass towards the back, going by a couple of bathrooms on either side, you enter into the party room area. Now, there are 3 different rooms designated for these purposes. You go to the last one, the one with a blocky 3 written on the door. And as you open it, you hear, "Get over here," and then, "Finish him." And you walk in to find an overstuffed sofa, and upon that sofa, a very lanky young man with protruding ears, a bulbous nose, kind of janky teeth. He wears a stocking cap on his head, a white stained tank top, and large Jinko jeans that go all the way down, covering up whatever footwear he's wearing. Now, you've met this individual before. This is the individual you made the deal with, and their name is Skeeter. As soon as they hear the door open, they pause the game, obviously Mortal Kombat 2, to look over their shoulder at you. "Hey, come on in."
Yeah, Jeremiah will slide in, closing the door behind him. If there's another seat other than right next to him on the couch, he'll take that, but...
Yeah, I'd say there's a couple of beanbag chairs and maybe like a couple of armchairs nearby, all secondhand furniture.
He'll sit down in one of the armchairs. And say, God, it's been forever since I played that game.
It's got a bit of nostalgia, don't it?
Yeah, they really got the fatalities right in that one.
Absolutely, it's a masterpiece. So, what can I do for yous?
Well, I got your message, and you said you had some more details about the arrangement that we made.
Straight to business. This is why I like you. Yeah. So I negotiated a bit of a gray zone for Sulphur Springs. I talked to the wolves, and they acquiesced to my request as I had a favor on them, and I decided to spend it for this. I hope I didn't waste my time or my goodwill with them, but I made a deal. They won't infringe upon your town as long as you don't give them reason to. They'll keep you out of their patrols, but they're going to keep watch on you. And if things get too disturbed enough to ruffle some feathers, catch wind of the news, get too out of hand, they're going to bring the hammer down. However, I think that from our interactions and what you've said, you should be able to handle that just fine, don't you think?
I mean, in theory, I have some questions, but no doubt you have something you'd like in return for this really, like, very appreciated favor.
Well, of course. If I'm going to give up a favor to the power players in town for the upstarts, it's got to be worth it. But me and mine, I don't know yet what it is we're going to need, to be completely honest.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
you owe me one, and when something comes up that might be of use to me, then I'll call in my chit. But for now, I think we're just at an understanding. But I don't have anything big enough or necessary enough to need to use that favor just yet. But you said you had questions. What else?
Yeah, so you said they're going to be watching. They're going to be looking for, things they don't like. We like to keep things quiet, for our own reasons. We don't like to, leave bodies around. We eat people. I think you know that.
I'd have to assume so, yeah. I don't assume you're like, open sourcing your dietary restriction.
No. It's, some of us are a little bit more squeamish about that, but for the most part, we do what we gotta do.
You prefer your cattle free range then?
I prefer not having to end someone's life to manage what's going on inside.
Well, that would definitely be preferable. They were not fond of the idea that this particular gray zone was going to encompass so much residential property, and they're not unaware of what you do. They're not unaware of your needs. But if you keep it clean and you keep it respectable, or at least you clean up your messes as thoroughly as you possibly can so no word gets out, I think that this arrangement will last as long as it possible.
So, I mean, I gotta admit to some bare bones ignorance here. I don't know a lot about, I guess, your side of the street. So, anything that you could tell me about, beyond the obvious. What would be something like that I wouldn't think about, that I wouldn't have any reason to know about, that might get their hackles raised?
An information exchange. All right. I'll answer your questions if you answer mine. Fair
Absolutely.
enough?
Fair's fair.
Beyond the obvious of the way you eat, what you eat. That already causes problems. I don't care for that. You're in a position to potentially do some good for or some harm to the river. Now, one thing that I know about the wolves is they're kind of nature nuts. They like their nature clean and well preserved. So if you don't want to raise their hackles, I would say make sure at least your section of river is tip-top shape. Because if they find out that you're dumping bodies or pollutants or whatever into the river, they're gonna know. They have a way of knowing all sorts of things that they shouldn't. They have, well, let's just say they have their ear to the ground in more ways than one. Some you can't even begin to comprehend, trust me.
That's really good to know. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. But that won't be a problem. I mean, I know for my part, I'm not a litter bug. And I'll make sure that everyone else in the territory knows about it as well.
Good. So my question, tit for tat.
Shoot.
What was it that made you want to make this deal? What I've known about the vampires, whatever. You guys, your side of the street, is that they don't really care who knows where they are. They especially amongst the supernatural community, as it were, they're all about making a stand and saying this is ours, claiming ownership, taking charge. But it seems like you're not going with the status quo of this particular city. I've sniffed around and I've learned quite a bit about this area, and it seems like you're a group of, well, ne'er-do-wells in the eyes of your cousins. What is it you're trying to do here?
Well, we wouldn't be immortal blood-drinking monsters if we didn't also have an addiction to politics and backstabbing and manipulation. There's a war among our kind. It simmered for a good long while, and there were other factions that have... I'm not exactly sure what's happening with the third leg of our existence, and the less I know, the better I sleep during the day. But
so they're the scary ones then.
Oh yeah. Oh man, they come to town, all bets are off. Sabat. I've only had...
What, like Sundays?
Yeah, but you know, more of digging through the ditches and burning through the witches.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought they called that the Inquisition.
No. I mean, all I know about them is that they don't give a shit about mortals, about trying to keep themselves in check. They're... did you ever see From Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah.
Those guys.
Okay, so the real brutal ones. Really brutal.
But from what I heard, the Inquisition, which real thing, I don't know if I don't know if they're giving you guys trouble or not, but
monster hunters be monster hunting everywhere. It doesn't matter what size or shape or color they take.
But when that really kicked into high gear, let's just say they reaped the benefits of living their lifestyle, and they got hit pretty hard. So our side, the saner side, you got the Camarilla. They're old. They're
in
like,
Spanish.
Yeah, pan-European, they really love their old world.
Kind of haughty, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, no, big time. But yeah, they're old, ossified. You know, they've got their claws into money and power, and half of them have forgotten what it is to be human at all. But they value safety, so they keep it in check just enough to prevent the sort of things we were talking about.
Okay.
Now, my side of things, my people.
This is what, the second or first leg?
The history gets tangled, so let's call it the second.
Second leg, got it.
Mostly we're called the Anarchs, or the Anarch movement.
Okay, so a bunch of non-status quo types looking to... Okay, I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Exactly.
See, that's a name you can understand.
Exactly. Well, for one thing, we're younger, most of us. You know, we were born out of the fact that you've got these old ancient monsters who, you know, create more of themselves so that they can like try and stay relevant. But it's, you know, it's like you're part of a corporation and the boss never even dies.
Yikes. No room for advancement.
No room for advancement, and they hoard all of the power, all of the influence, all of the territory. And us kids, relatively speaking, we've had enough of it. And we want to build something that doesn't get so clogged up, doesn't get so, you know, pyramid schemey. And, you know, I'm not trying to say we're the good guys. We're not the good guys. There's very I couldn't point at someone and say, hey, they're a good vampire. But we try and stay closer to our humanity. We try and live lives that aren't so clogged up with the old world and the way things used to be, and try and look to the future. So we, you know, when it comes to your side of things, we've already got old, ancient, powerful enemies. We don't need trouble with things that we barely understand and can, hopefully, you know, come to some accord with.
Okay. That makes sense. I have a follow-up question, but I figured I'd offer you the floor first, since it seems like you like an order to things.
You know what? I'm an anarch. Fuck the rules. Ask your question.
Well, it's actually having to do with the idea of anarchy. Anarchy is often very short-lived and temporary. How... Okay, so I've seen a lot of revolutions, rebellions, you know, even just in the last few years, last couple decades. They always fall apart because they refuse to get on the same page about things. They all have their own agendas, or they think that one problem needs to be dealt with before another. And like, I'm from New York, Occupy. I don't know if you remember the Occupy movement.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how young you are, but that fell apart because they couldn't withstand the pressure of an opposing, somewhat unified force, the machine. And they kind of fell to infighting, and, well, winter really killed a lot of it, but they all had their own things that they thought should be important and first. How does this particular movement of yours hope to last if they don't have a consistent and collaborated direction? No rules, no leaders.
I won't say it's not a problem, because it is. And Note that we're not the anarchist movement. Their structure. We've got, people who oversee, groups of us and bits of territory. But it can fall apart, We are who we are. We are what we are. So that inner predator can get it. But for one, we've got the cam, and they're always going to be a fucking problem. We've got the mortals. They're going to be a problem. This thing we call the Masquerade, it's half broken right now, and it's
Wait, I'm sorry, I gotta pause you right there. The Masquerade? This just adds to the haughtiness of your society. I hope you know that. Like, that sounds like pretty frilly dresses with petticoats and little masks as they stroll around ballrooms in their castle in the mountains.
Yes. It's an old term, and it has all of those connotations, particularly with the gamma ray. But
we just call it the Veil, but sure, go on.
Noted. There's another component to it. By clinging to our humanity, what's left of our lives, by pretending, it helps keep us, hidden, but it also helps us with that struggle.
Okay.
So, old and frilly, yes, but there's kind of a philosophy behind it too.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I totally understand why you would have something like that in place. I mean, it's the same reason we do. People fear things they don't know, and they're gonna kill it. So we don't want to be that thing. Even if we are stronger, faster, whatever, that we don't have the numbers to outwit them, especially with all this crazy technology and whatnot.
Yeah. So we've got a couple big enemies that, well, nothing brings people together like a common enemy. And they're not going away anytime soon. And we have like I said, we have some structure. That's actually one of my big things. Exactly what you talked about. I believe in what we're doing. I believe in, keeping the style of, fucking feudalism that the cam likes to do out of our lives. And coming together, finding common cause, having a little bit of structure. It's work. And you're not wrong that it's a problem. But I got nothing but time.
How long do you think it's gonna last, though? Like, eventually someone's gonna want the thing the other guy got, and they're gonna fight over it. I mean, you're predators, right?
Yeah,
That's kind of comes with the territory. Oh, I like your house better than my house. I'm gonna take it. I like your neighborhood better than my neighborhood. I mean, when you asked for Sulphur Springs, I was like, why? But then, might as well be somewhere. If anywhere, you need a starting point, right?
Yeah. The plan, at least from my perspective and the people I work with, is conflict's going to happen. Manage it, put some boundaries around it. Hold it together for as long as it can. It's not perfect, and it might fall apart. I'm not trying to say that we've got the plans, but, if you're not trying to build something that can actually, stand and serve people that it's about, then it's just going to fall to infighting. It's going to fall to chaos. So it's a lot of work. That's the short answer. It's a lot of work.
Well, like you said, you got time. That is something you can, I suppose, use to your advantage, but also it just means you deal with a constant risk for, decades, centuries? That sounds exhausting.
Well, For me, at least, the struggle keeps me going. I like a fight.
Clearly care about this enough to look out for others. I would assume that the selfish thing would be like, well, I want to make sure I'm safe. Fuck the rest of them.
That's kind of a paradox, you know? The instinct is to go solitary, to find a hidey hole, set up, you know, the way you get your needs met. But especially with the Inquisition, safety in numbers, big deal.
Yeah,
But
I
anyway,
never quite understood why all the soups didn't just get on the same page about stuff. I mean, I suppose it's differences in philosophy and the like, but you know, with all this craziness happening in the world, trying to wage a war while a war is being waged on you, and then there's just the wars that are happening in the world. It seems like it's just endless struggle and a slow, unending tumble towards annihilation.
thanks, man. I try not to think about that.
I'm here for you, buddy.
Yeah. But anyway, I got questions. Let's
Sure, let's
bring
go.
it back on track.
Let's
All
go.
right.
Let's reestablish order.
Yeah. Bang bang the gavel. So, kind of got an idea of how to stay off the bad side.
The makings of one, yes.
Good. I mean, that's a solid foundation. If you haven't gotten it, I'm a big on the ideals of, you know, coming together and mutual aid and whatnot. How do we get on the good side, man? How do we show value? How do we show that, you know, we can't, it's not just a thing that we can tolerate one another, but you know, we can help each other?
I mean, well, you said something interesting when you mentioned common enemies earlier. They have no love for the overlords of the region. Let's just say they've gotten whacked by that stick a few too many times, and they are done with it. And while there may be this temporary, albeit pointless truce, I think that the best thing you can do is continue to break down that castle brick by brick. If you show the benefits of keeping you around versus the drawbacks of keeping you around, and make sure one outweighs the other, I think that you'll get on their neutral side. I wouldn't necessarily say a good side. You got to understand, like, life to them is a precious thing, and what you embody is the opposite of that. No offense, of course. It's a representation of the unnatural in their minds, and I don't need to go into the complex philosophy as to why your kind exists, but versus why any other kind exists. But dead things should die, and the fact that dead things aren't dying or staying dead, I suppose, flies in the face of everything they believe. They believe in the natural order of things, the cycle, birth, life, death, and then it repeats. It's like Lion King or some shit, circle of life. You're stepping outside of that. You're going away from the natural order just by being. And not only that, you're still continuing to feast upon that natural order. It's eating away more than nature intends to eat away. Of course, people are going to kill each other. Wars are going to happen. Those kinds of struggles exist, sure. But what you are is just, in their mind, don't kill the messenger here, but you're a parasite on the natural order of things. You're continuing to eat away at that life without suffering death. You're like a bacteria that's eating away, almost like an acid eating away slowly at this perfect construct that they have in regards to the world and everything in it. So unless you find a way to change up the way you do things dramatically, I don't think you'll ever be on their good side. You'd have to find a way to source your food differently that doesn't involve people getting hurt. You'd have to, I mean, it's a complete upheaval of the system, and even then I think it's temporary at best, to be completely honest. It's all things are temporary. One person slips up, the other gets angry, shit goes south. Not to say it couldn't happen. These wolves are surprisingly open-minded compared to others that I've met before. They're not as strict and yeah, they're not as aggressive. They're not as zealotous as some of the other of the wolves, and that has provided a little bit of wiggle room. I mean, if they were, I wouldn't be here, that's for certain.
Well, you know, maybe mention how hot and cool we are, you know? Anyway, we've got our eyes on the older parasites. If they're a problem for you, they're goddamn well a problem for us. So, yeah.
I feel like I should make sure you're fully aware of the understanding that they have to the detail so that there isn't any accidents or misunderstandings. Sure. This agreement covers the territory, does not cover the people or the vampires or whatever. So if you go elsewhere and they find you out there, they're not going to stop just because you say, hey, I'm from Sulphur Springs. Remember Skeeter? He arranges for... Doesn't matter. They are, in a way, allowing this to go overlooked for the time being. Flexible, like I said. Normally, that wouldn't even be a thing. They just come in and steamroll you. But just to be sure, if you're caught outside those bounds and they're able to figure out what you are or catch you doing something wrong, or, you know, you're making waves elsewhere outside of the territory, it's still going to fall back on you. Still going to come back to haunt you. So, or you're just going to get caught with your pants down out there and you're not going to finish the leak you're taking. They're going to just pull those right up and pull you right out. So just to be aware of that. Your neighborhood is safe. As long as you're in it, you're safe. As long as you're not making headlines. Outside of that, you're on your own. That's the best I could get you.
You know what? It's appreciated. I mean, we got business elsewhere, but we'll be on the notice. We'll be on notice. Try and keep it clean and quiet.
I know what it is to be the lowest one on the totem pole, so to speak. I know what it is to be the overlooked and the underdog and trying to just survive. And that's why I have the smallest soft spot for you and yours. Even though we would normally be on opposing sides, I think that you seem to have a good head on your shoulders and you seem to have the right idea and you don't look like you're trying to do any overwhelming harm. So I can respect that. And I really hope what you're doing works. And I hope that somehow some kind of agreement or arrangement can be made, because the last thing we need to be doing is always looking over our back or our shoulders more than usual. I mean, it's bad enough that we have to ensure nobody finds out. But then on top of that, we know that there are those who already have found out and are just biding their time or looking for an opportunity.
I mean, I know we got to build a foundation of trust, but one of these nights, a sit down. That's on my mind. That's a goal of mine. But that's in the future, and I understand we got to build the foundation.
tell you what, I will. I mean, that's a really big ask.
I know.
All of this
I'm
been.
I'm not asking you to make it happen.
I'm gonna start laying a groundwork for you. I'll put inroads in there to see if they're even open to the idea. And if they're not open to the idea, maybe opening them to the idea. Because I agree with you. The last thing we need is a ton of bloodshed and exhaustion on the streets. I mean, we've already had that, and it's not been great so far. I mean, there's been a lot of collateral damage, as it were. And if there is a boogeyman, like you've described, that third leg, that back bracing, exhausting weight to be carried around, then I think that it's better, if it were to return, that we were all on the same page about how to deal with it, and that it should not last for long, because I've found that nothing goes away, it just waits.
Yeah. Anything else you want to know?
I mean, there's several things I'd love to know. I could get into the specifics and the details, like how do you define yourselves? Are you all the same? What are some things you can do? But I will also respect if you don't wish to answer any of that, because, you know, trade secrets and whatnot. Why here? Why not elsewhere? What was it about this place that made it so appealing to you? I mean, this is called the Sunshine State, and as far as I know, you guys have a really bad allergy to that.
That's putting it mildly.
Up in New York, we only have direct sunlight like 30 days a year.
You know, for me and a lot of us, it's where we're from.
That's fair.
Travel's dangerous. And at least as far as the movements is concerned, you guys did one hell of a favor. And the ground's more fertile for us to get a handhold. At least here in Tampa.
Well, I can't take any credit for that. I am just a independent contractor of sorts that helps out where they can, but a lot of that damage was done when I got here, and I am all the more thankful for it. Okay. So, right now, they're obviously calling a lot of the shots.
What's your relationship to them, by the way? You say you're on the low end of the totem pole.
I am. Well, they've been nothing but respectful. In that society, I'm considered the outlier, the low end of the totem pole, the overlooked and downtrodden. But that's part of why I'm willing to do business here and willing to work here, is that they don't treat us that way. Story has it, once a long time ago, the wolves believed themselves to be the strongest, the best, the most powerful. And so they waged a war against everything else. Anything that didn't disagree or didn't agree with that. Anything that wasn't willing to bend the knee or bow. And they were successful. Very successful. Most of the others were driven into hiding or outright went extinct. And that was before my time, well before my time. But one thing that I was always taught was be wary of the wolves. Because if they wanted to, they would just do it again. They could do it again. And, you know, I don't want to end up on the wrong side of some jaws like that. Again, survivor. So I guess my relationship to them is business associates, sometimes allies, sometimes friends. I got a fondness for one of them. They're a cousin of sorts. We have a strange connection, but these ones think differently. When we first made ourselves known or were found, they didn't respond with aggression as we'd been taught to expect. They responded with an open hand and an offer of safety and security. They weren't trusting right away, of course, who is. You shouldn't be in this world. But through some mutual exchanges of information and effort, we came to trust one another and even work with one another. And I know that they bear a lot of anger. They have a lot of resentment towards some of your kind, and some of that's earned, some of that's inherited. But the ones that have earned it are going to have the hardest time with this, because vampires have taken their loved ones or, ruined their lives. And the reality is, you don't just get over something like that just because someone says, I wasn't part of that leg, I was part of another leg. Like, it's all one. And is that a little bit, in a way, bigoted? Sure. But if one is capable, so is another. They know about your hunger, your predatory way. Like knows like. They're predators too. They just happen to prey upon something else. And I think that if the potential for betrayal or the thirst for power is there, it makes you all the more dangerous to them, and therefore need to be kept in check or eliminated. Again, maybe it's inherited. Maybe it comes from a time where they wanted to be the top of the ladder. It's the idea of anything else encroaching upon that ladder makes them nervous. But whatever the case may be, that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with them, is personal investment due to the actions of some of your cousins, brethren, fellows, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. Well, I can see their point of view on that. There are plenty of older, more corrupt, more
inhumane,
good word, inhumane bastards that I wouldn't mind seeing turned into piles of dust. Maybe we can bond over that. I don't know.
But what about you? You're young now, sure, but you said you have forever. What happens when you're the old one? Are you going to be inhumane? Are you going to be something that needs to be dusted?
I like to think that when that day, that night comes, when I cross whatever line in the sand that makes them the way they are, honestly, I hope I have the courage to walk out into the sun.
Just that philosophy I admire. When you think that you're about to become a danger to others or what you're trying to do, best to get out of the way rather than continue to take up space for a fruitless hope. Just like you would say not all vampires, I'm going to say not all changing breeds.
All right.
And I say that because there are some, and some that have been local recently, that are aggressive, that have given into their beast to a certain degree, the inner anger and the monster inside, and they're not going to let anything stand in their way for what they're trying to accomplish. So if, and I hope it's not the case, if you do cross paths with them, understand they're not a representative of the whole. And how are you going to tell the difference? Well, you got your friend Skeeter here to tell you the difference. But it's, they got their types too. They're ones that are a problem. And as far as I know, some of them came into town recently and are still sticking around. So just be on the lookout, be careful, and if you see something, say something. I think this arrangement could work really well for all of us if we stop with all the bullshit and just lay it out as it is. Of course, I'm going to have secrets, you're going to have secrets, but if it comes to the well-being of all of us, probably for the best we say something.
I like the way you think, man. You also make me wish I could still drink. Because, goddamn.
Yeah, okay, here's another question for you. How do you do all that? How do you enjoy any of the things it was to be alive? If it's like the movies where they're like, it turns to ash in my mouth, or it's, you know, oh, the endless hunger, nothing else will satisfy it. Like, how do you enjoy anything that makes unliving good?
Two ways. The first, emotion. It comes through the blood. You get a taste of the old vitality, especially if it's strong, powerful. Second, if they're fucked up, we get fucked up.
Oh shit! So it's like a second-hand thing, like
Girlfriend kiss.
contact high.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right on. Okay, that's good to know. What? Okay, but what if they weren't to be eaten on directly? Like, what if there was a way? I'm still trying to think of a way to make them wolves not want to kill you, because I like you. You seem like a good enough stand-up guy. Is there a way to still get that effect without it, you know?
Some of us do. Some of us use the bag stuff. But it's dead.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah. And as fucked up as it sounds, that little bit of life, that little bit of emotion, the real stuff, it can make it easier to hold on, to fight against the monster inside.
Yeah, I suppose it's better straight from the keg than left on the counter for 4 hours.
Yeah.
I get that. Still imagine it tastes like pennies, but I get it.
It does, but to us, pennies taste like a filet mignon wrapped in heroin.
Damn. I've never had either of those things, but all right.
It's pretty good.
Well, that's all I got for now. Anything else you need to know before we part ways? It's getting late for me, but I'm sure it's just prime time for you.
Yeah, I think I'm good. But you know what? I want to get a couple rounds on. Been forever since I've played this game.
Let's do it. And as he... Oh yeah, go ahead.
He'll move over to the couch and pick up the controller.
Okay. Give me a wits and investigation or awareness.
Okay. Seven successes with a critical.
Holy shit. Okay. So as you're sitting there playing video games, enjoying one another, maybe jabbing at each other playfully, dogging one another, your keen and supernatural senses pick up a presence within the room beyond the two of you. But as you find a moment to look away, you see that in some of the more darker corners, maybe under a cafe table or, over behind the entertainment center that holds the television, you detect rats. You sense them. They're not intruding, but they're definitely interested. They have an extra awareness beyond that of the natural.
I'll wait until we finish a round, and then I'll just let my eyes go to one of them. And say,
obviously, or are you trying to obscure?
Obviously.
Okay.
I will pointedly stare at them, and I'll just say, "Friends of yours?"
Yes. I have to watch my own back, you understand. I don't know what you're capable of or how strong you are, and so I have to look after you. But we played Mortal Kombat together. That's not a bond that can be easily broken, so don't you worry about them.
All right. I respect it. All right. Yeah, I got stuff to do. This was a blast, man.
It was good hanging with you. Hopefully we can do it again sometime. If you ever need me, you got my number, so you can reach out and get in touch, and same to you. But good luck. That's the best thing I can say. Good luck, stay safe. Keep your eyes peeled, because they agreed, but they're itchy. They're very itchy, and I don't want to see what could have been prevented happen just because of carelessness.
Well, we'll keep our asses clear as best we can and keep the lines open.
Sounds good, Jared.
He'll put the controller down, stand up, and he'll offer the fist bump.
He returns the fist bump in kind. As you make your way out, leaving the extra life, returning to the vehicle, your ride share that you've called to take you back home, what's going through your mind after this encounter with Skeeter?
He's running the numbers again. He's playing the game. He's assessing the board. He thinks, yeah, there's room. There's room to make a piece, and maybe some cooperation. But all the things he said about, why they don't like us, why they some of them would rather just, dust us and leave it for the sun. He can't deny that he's absolutely right. And he goes back to what he said about if the day came, if the night came that, he was more monster than man. He kind of internally pencils in, throw self at werewolf.
Before we move on, I have one question for you that I'd love you to answer. You have taken on several missions that many would view impossible. Toppling the Camarilla being one. Beating the Elders being another. Does Jeremiah truly believe coexistence with werewolves peacefully is possible? Or is it a pipe dream to him? Or is it just a lie he told Skeeter to try and garner some more goodwill?
It's a mix. Because he truly believes that younger kindred, anarchs, are a better way to coexist with the mortals, a better way to organize our own lives. And he does believe in it. And he believes that is, if there's an option to coexist, that it's through the ideals of the anarch movement and staying true to them. But on the other hand,
yeah, go ahead.
on the other hand, these werewolves are mortal. They're gonna die. And if I keep my shit together, I'm not.
If you can't beat them, outlive them. With that, we transition to our final scene of tonight's story. It's been about a week since you saw Solomon, a week since your assignment was given to gather 2 vessels apiece to be delivered to start the stock for the blood trade. Now, some of you have already started to make moves in that direction. Others are still waiting, maybe biding their time, maybe planning, maybe worried about what's to come, maybe apprehensive about the idea of dragging innocence into subjugation. But as it's been a week since the mission, a week since Solomon, it's time to check in, to see how things are going, to get on the same page and to make a plan, because that deadline is 1 week away. And while you haven't had any terse or negative interactions with Solomon, the relationship has been good, it's been businesslike. Those of you in the know about Kindred know Solomon is a coiled serpent. And what do serpents do? Without doubt, they strike. They strike fast, they strike hard. And if they have venom, they strike deadly. So, as you're all gathered within the waiting owl outside of the operating hours, past closing time, the scene is yours.
I imagine we're sitting around our normal table. Jeremiah has some folders, some papers. He says, "All right, business first. Well, the most pressing business. Our benefactor put a task to us. Anybody made any progress?"
I've already got one of mine picked out and sent to him already.
He'll look to August.
Now, August, you've got a couple of pokers in the fire. It's starting to move that direction, but you haven't sealed the deal just yet.
Given that I've taken it upon myself to help our mutual friend, I'll look over to Val.
I can handle it on my own. It's okay.
Oh, I have
just
no
need...
doubt that you can do it. It's just how you describe to me your method of procurement should and does frighten everyone here at this table.
What do you... Yeah, you drug somebody and then you take them to Solomon. Call it a day.
Jeremiah, do you have anything to comment on that method?
Yeah, no. Here's what I have to comment. It's not sealed, but I've got 10.
Oh.
It's in the works, so don't assume that it's gonna work, but I've got us covered.
Well, your language there seemed very pointed. You said you have 10.
Yeah.
Someone trying to get on the good side of our benefactor? More so than the rest of us.
You know, I wasn't going for 10, but apparently I'm just that damn good.
Apparently.
It's in transit. We might have to, trail it on its way. But in the next couple of nights, I've got the debt covered. Now, extra, beyond even that, probably won't piss him off. But
I think it'll do the opposite.
no unnecessary risks. He looks right at Val. No
So,
unnecessary risks.
to my point, I've got a few things cooking. With my connections, I can find a few undesirables who probably are headed to the penitentiary anyways, so
I mean, that's where I got mine.
no skin off my back, but I think you got a few more things to worry about other than this right now, Val, so leave it to me, please.
We're covered. Now, I might ask some help sealing it. But I'm pretty sure it's going to work out.
Jeremiah, there was something about what August said that appeals to that repressed side of you. Yeah, why share? Why not take all of the glory? Why not be the one in the best favor of Solomon? Why cover the rest? It could just be all you. Think of how impressed he would be. Think of how much he would think higher of you than the others if you brought 10 just for you. Or maybe skim off the top and keep them for yourself. A business within a business is a backup plan. And you know you have to eat eventually.
Just thinks to himself, I don't live my fun life to be the best doggy. And he snaps back and he says, all right, keep what you got going, but don't worry about it.
Just tell me when they're inbound so I can help. I have to at least help. Otherwise, it's nothing.
Val, you do so much for us. You do enough.
How does Valentina feel about being taken care of? And how does she feel about what it is they're doing? Because she's kind of on the line, even more so than August, between human and vampire. You're in that middle space where you haven't quite experienced everything that being a vampire entails. You still have a much stronger grasp on humanity than anyone else in this room. So how, one, do they feel about being taken care of like a pet or a younger sibling? And two, how do they feel about what it is they've been asked to do?
Val, having been seen as a pet, knows at least she is hoping so deep in her heart that these people don't see her as the cat that she is referred to as sometimes. And doesn't like the fact that, you know, some random person's gonna be thrown into the meat grinder and who knows, might end up going down the same path that she has.
But it's not just one person, is it? Now it's a minimum of 10.
Yeah.
And possibly more, depending on how successful. Oh, well, 11. Since Beau scored 1 and August, who knows how many they're going to bring to the table. So we're talking about potentially a dozen or more people all going into servitude as juice boxes.
and it does dawn on her the amount of suffering that we are about to put through into the world. And then the thought of being helpless, of what Athame did, and the like kind of breaches over, and she looks at Jeremiah and is just like, please. And then she turns her gaze over to Beau and August. I may help out a lot with paying bills and getting funds and making sure the van's fixed and the like, but I still need to be able to help with things like this. It's important. I don't want to be looked at lower, and I am always going to be looked at like that by Vesper, by Solomon, whether or not he is overtly doing that. I know he does. Now, it's only more recently that I've realized that you all don't see me as just a ghoul.
Don't they? Or are they just really good at hiding it?
Beau, who has been anxiously pacing around the table, messing with the ring on their left hand, will stop behind Valentina. If she wants to help, she should get to help. She's stronger than me in ways that I can barely describe.
But she's not a kindred. And is she really stronger? Or are you just being supportive, generous? Because you know what strength looks like. You know what it is to be held in strong arms, to feel safe, to feel protected. Valentina couldn't hold a candle to that. As long as they are what they are.
So, we should have enough to cover what we need. I think we need to start reaching out to other players in the space.
Before we do any of this, like, she doesn't want to help Beau. She feels she has to. Do you think as soon as you're embraced, you'll immediately stop being less than? We are fledglings. You think you'll be embraced by the highest generation kindred that will allow you without completely controlling your life, which won't happen anyways. You think you're just going to be just like that overnight?
No.
And you think that, what, pulling some random guy off the street from some homemade chloroform is going to take steps in that direction?
No, but what it will do is solidify a small portion for me. A small little spot of sand barely above the water. And yeah, if we can find an older generation for me to be embraced by, honestly, I think it would be a real awesome thing. Something for us to have a little bit more muscle on our side.
Valentina, of course, your thoughts drift to Vesper when you're talking about when old kindred are mentioned, when the highest generation, when the idea of having that kind of power working for you and not against you, maybe even granting some of that power to you. But then also, when someone attempted to get even a taste of Vesper's power, he demanded their soul in exchange. As for the sand, Florida has a whole lot of sand. What does one grain matter other than reminding them that you are useful for now?
You want to find
Val.
somebody?
Val,
Go ahead.
you and I, some night soon, we're going to have a sit down and we're going to talk. We're going to go over your future. I know what you want, and I want to help you get it. There's a lot of things to consider. For now, bringing it back to the topic at hand. Compromise. Instead of trying to get, people who we can easily push off on Mr. Snaky, why don't you focus on cultivating our regulars? People we can take care of and make sure that when we get what we need from them, they're not... How's that sound?
I've already been trying to build up a bigger base for the bar. It's not harder to add another couple things to the plate.
Just take the attention that you were going to take kidnapping somebody and put it towards there. Sound good?
All right.
All right. Other business. Plenty of irons in the fire. There's going to be meetings with other barons coming up. Apparently there's some Toreador, Sebastian, the Lion, whatever. He's another about the same scale as Solomon. There's some Ventru recently from the tower. And there's one of my family, not a baron, but a player over in St. Pete. We're going to be meeting sometime soon. I don't know who would be interested in coming along. I definitely want backup. He looks to Beau with your clanmate. But I know I'm the one with the big heart on about the movement. And that's what I'm putting my personal time into. I'd like buy-in from the rest of you. But you got your own lives. So that's what I've got on the plate. Oh, yeah, one more thing. The wolves. I got some breathing room for us. They're not going to be beating down our doors here in Sulphur Springs. It's tenuous. And we got to keep things tidy. Try and make as few bodies as possible. And apparently they've got a big to-do about the river and the environment, so keep it clean. Don't dump shit in it. Make sure that, do what we can. Because that'll apparently really piss them off.
Part of the outreach I've been doing with the bar has been volunteering with some of my employees to clean up the neighborhoods and whatnot. So you can probably get some good little pool skimmers or something for the little river.
That's a good effort, good initiative. All right, that's what I got. What about the rest of you?
Not necessarily business, but something you should be aware of. I am back in contact with Talia, and I'm not as in control as I thought I would be after all this time.
But doesn't it feel so good? Isn't it nice to surrender control? To not feel burdened by responsibility and to be taken care of?
Oh,
Yeah, Jeremiah?
I met her exactly one time. That was enough for me. I don't want... Oh, I gotta ask you. When I get a group together, cut off that bitch's head, are we gonna need to get you somewhere else?
I want to be there. If I am able to get a handle on myself, I want her to suffer by my own hand. I want to take her down myself. See her last breath taken by my strength.
Do you really believe that, though? Do you really want the best thing that's ever happened to you gone? Or do you just want to lead them into a trap so you don't have to deal with the judgment, the looks, so you can be happy forever, just like you've always wanted? Or can they even get there? You know the sway she has on you, and that's effortless. Imagine what could happen if she put in a little effort.
They'll clutch at their head slightly, curl in. Maybe, I don't... She's fucking with my mind even now. Even if she's not calling me, I can feel it.
Jeremiah's gonna reach out kind of unconsciously and like grab her hand.
Val is gonna make her way to a spot to be able to like put a hand on her shoulder and be like, very low tone, did you go again?
I didn't want to. After meeting you and spending time with you, she called me and I couldn't stop myself from going.
What exactly have you told her in your recent visits, Beau?
I haven't told her anything. The
She
first
hasn't
meeting-
To
asked.
believe that.
And surprisingly, she hasn't asked yet. First meeting was private performance that turned intimate, and
The hand
Second.
squeezes just a little bit tighter. Oh, I told Solomon that I had some gangrel buddies that I was going to talk to about the wolves. I think I have something else for them. If you can be there, absolutely, I want you to have that satisfaction. She is a threat to you and a threat to us. One way or another, that threat's going to be dealt with.
Now, Beau, it's easy to blame it on Talia, but you're not hearing her voice. That's you talking. There's no supernatural effects at play here. Just your own lit self when it comes to Talia. Because as much as you can protest, I think we both know there is a part of you that wants it back. There is a part of you that would happily surrender to it. And yes, the supernatural influence helps push that along, push past your stubbornness. But that's not her making it feel good. It just feels good. And there's not a lot of things that make you feel that way in an unlife anymore.
Squeeze Jeremiah's hand tighter. If the time comes, and if I have enough control, I want to be there. But I'd also want Val there. I'd trust her to stop me if things get out of hand. They'll look to Val. I trust you.
She can certainly try.
I'll do my
August. Oh, yep, good. August. Okay.
Sorry. I'll do my damnedest for you. But no promises.
August. This is a huge breach in security. Remembering everything Spud talked about and said in your meeting, plus your own beliefs about the whole kindred hierarchy. She can't control herself. And even if she didn't say anything, can you really trust that she'd remember if she did? You know what these kindred can do. You know what they're capable of, the way they can subjugate, the way they can dominate, the way they can erase. Is this like that gas tank on the car, a slow drip? Or is it a flood rushing out? Thankfully, the gas tank has been fixed, but the gas tank wasn't a slave to the gas.
This whole time, August has been sitting at that same table as the rest of you stood up to go to by Ace's side, and they abruptly stand up, almost angeredly, and the chair that they were sitting on falls to the floor. You have all forgot yourselves this past week. And there will come a time very soon where you have to make a very important decision. One that will decide if you'll continue living the way you currently do. Sect, clan, or self. Make a decision. Because if you can't, this will all fall apart before it's even begun. Remember your place as I've remembered mine. And that's not to say that I'm above you or that I'm beneath you. But decide where you are and make it a final decision, at least for now.
Jeremiah, remember your place? That's Camarilla talk, and it's coming from a thin blood, no less. What do they know about place? What do they know about position or what their place is? Their place would have them completely torn to shreds for speaking up to a full kindred like that.
August. I'm not going to speak for these two. I think it's pretty clear I know where I stand. We have to be united in this, in everything. As much things as we can. Even if it's just the four of us. We can't even begin to trust Solomon. I don't know how he found out, how he knew, but maybe he was even lying. He said that you were a thin blood. Well, I don't give a shit about that. That just showed me more of who he was.
And I think you just showed me who you are. You think we can trust this one over here, who is essentially admitted to being bonded by their sire, who's deeply embedded in the Camarilla, who you
That's why we're gonna kill her!
Yeah, we'll kill her. Sure.
August. Out of everybody here, you're the one probably closest to the ability of being able to remove that bond from Beau. All right? So why are you deciding to make an argument here rather than saying, let's figure out a way to fix this?
Because we wouldn't be figuring out a way, I would. And you don't know what that will cost. You remember our meeting the other night. You know what I'm willing to pay for what I want. Everything. And Jeremiah, I want it to be us. I really do. The four of us. But there's a lot of things that I want that I will never have. So am I really willing to pay that same price for her? For what they've done? They've helped us. They've helped me personally. But is that enough?
At this point,
Yes, Val. I intended to do my part. But I have no guarantees, and there's nothing that you can do to help me in that research, or any of you. So I'll remember my place, and I will do what I can. But you all need to do the same. That is what I'm saying.
Oh, go ahead.
At this point, Beau will stand up and walk over to August, keeping about an arm's distance between the two of them. I would pay anything to be rid of this bond in this moment. As long as I have control, I would do anything to be free of her. Well, I have a say. I know you don't feel like you can trust me right now, and that may be wise for you, but we are a Coterie, and we need to work together, even just for job to job. I'm telling you this, I'm telling all of you this, so that you understand and can safeguard information from me in case she tries to pull it from me. I'm putting you all in my confidence. I wouldn't tell this shit to Solomon. I don't need to give him a reason to put me even further in his debt.
I may call on that favor to help me get this done, because it will take everything I have to try and figure that out again. And I'll look to Val. You know what I did there was not something that I could just do again. You know what it will cost me for information on what I did that day. That's a favor you can only call in one time, if that.
We work on this from two angles. More if we can find any ways. I've got friends. God, the things I've seen them do. And we have you, August. I'll make some calls. And we support this effort as a team. August, we get you what you need. Support you as you spearhead that effort. I'm sure my buddies are going to want something in return, although killing a Kami is, pretty much its own reward these days, but you know how we all work. Beau, this is a huge problem. It's a huge problem because you don't deserve that shit. You don't deserve to be bound and toyed with. And August is right. It's a threat to our security and to the security of all our allies. So it's getting handled. Let's agree to put our efforts toward it so that the threat can go away and our friend can be free.
In the meantime, they run off at the beck and call of their sire, whenever they want, at any time, even this very moment. There's nothing to be done in the meantime. We can't put them in a cage. They're
No.
already in one.
We can't do that, but we can insist, Beau, would you stay here? Because if you just start to go and you don't tell me, or, Jimmy, then I can try to stop you.
Till we get this dealt with, that might be the safest solution.
And I can keep an eye on your place.
My place is with Solomon. I'm living in his house right now.
Okay, well, never mind that.
Wow. Just wow.
Really?
There was almost a moment where I thought I was in the wrong for being so upset, and I'm right back in it.
All right. Okay.
After what happened, I didn't have anywhere else to go, and I'm effectively Solomon's ward, and safer staying with him than on the streets.
All right.
Yeah. Move into the bar. Move into the bar. Until we got this handled.
Being a vampire kindred, broken down to its basest element, is about surviving. Night by night, surviving the hunger, the endless hunger inside of you. Night by night, surviving the slow descent to the loss of humanity. Slow descent to becoming the monster inside. Add being an anarch, It's surviving against the machine. That being a ghoul or a thin blood, it's surviving against the others who would call themselves better than you, stronger than you, more powerful than you. But tonight, it's about surviving the truth. The truth that no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, you will never, ever be free. Not truly. Because you are a slave to the blood, the hunger, the beast. This is where our story comes to a close this evening. But not without one last scene. Our scene takes us to a marble hallway. What little light shines from the nearby office windows reflecting off the surface of the marble, casting a glow across the floor. We find ourselves at an elevator door where the doors open to the hallway. Inside that elevator stands Talia. She has a 1,000-yard stare that she shakes out of. The kindred with knowledge of auspex have a little ability called Share the Senses. And if a user has your blood in them, you can see across distances and hear across distances. She says to herself, "Really, my dear, you want to be free. Not going to happen." She starts to walk across the marble floor, her heels echoing off of the stone. She then reaches a door that has the words Ballard, Anderson, and Bateman, attorneys at law, stenciled upon it. She pulls open the door, walks down a long hallway to a corner office, a massive room. She knocks on the door that says Edward Bateman, attorney at law, and opens it. As she walks in, a man dressed in a suit that is more than most of your possessions sits, clean cut, a well-trimmed goatee, slicked back black hair. Prince Edward Bateman, then true Prince of Tampa. She says, "My prince, we have a problem." And that's where our story will come to a close this evening. Thank you so much to these amazing players. Thank you to everybody watching at home. Go follow St. Pete by Night on all of that social media you see listed down below. And sign up to become a Ko-fi member so you can see the rosebud thorns of this very session for as low as $5 a month. As always, after these sessions, we have a lot to talk about. And if you want the scoop, you want all the dirt, you want all the spice behind the scenes and beneath the surface, go sign up for that Ko-fi membership. This week, we've got episodes of Rage Across Tampa on Tuesday. We've got an episode of Hellhounds on Friday, and we'll be back here next Sunday with another episode of Red Tide Rising. For these amazing players, I'm Kent. Have a lovely evening.